All right, Schlockmeister fans, kind of a rare film here from 1965. Michael Parks. It's called Wild Seed. Let's check it out. This is Daphne. She's running away from home. She's 17 and she lives in New York City. She's trying to make it to LA where her biological father lives, who she's never met. She hitches a ride with this older gentleman who immediately tries to take advantage of her. And she's going to manage to get away from his clutches. And he's going to abandon her there, taking her suitcase and a lot of her valuables with him.
I haven't any food.
She meets this guy.
And I was wondering maybe you might be able to spare me a little something.
That's Michael Parks as Fargo.
I'm awfully hungry.
Well, she gives him a little money. They end up having a meal together.
So what's your name?
He's a drifter.
What's yours?
Fargo. Say, honey, would you bring the check?
But along with the third guy, he teaches her the art of hopping a train. But she gets busted.
Okay, let's go.
They find Fargo too, and they all get thrown into the back of a truck. Off to the police station they go.
It's my wife. That's her wallet.
She admitted her age of 17.
How long have you been married?
3 months.
I know. Hey, sis,
Huh?
you ever see a man naked?
What?
You ever see a man naked? Well, you're going to see one if you don't get out of here.
No, wait a minute!
Our latest scam on
She
me.
tells him about letters that her father sent her.
Fargo, please, listen.
He doesn't believe it.
Why else would he stop writing like that?
Make a writer's cramp or something.
Well, these are the letters. My mother saved them all.
They end up hopping another train as they continue the trip out west. At one point they steal some clothes, or I should say Fargo steals some clothes. They decide to split up. But they hook back up again, and after hustling somebody on the street, he decides to play sick so he doesn't get arrested. It ends up working. On the back of a hay truck, they play around.
Do you love me?
Why don't we just forget it, huh? I can't love you.
He talks about how he was rejected as a child.
But they didn't want the kid. They didn't want me. I was in Bendel.
Well, then at one point Fargo gets sick. I don't know if he has pneumonia or what, but he's not doing too well.
Fargo? Fargo?
She finds a free clinic or something. Or a free doctor.
Giving him one of these every 4 hours.
Thank you. Is he gonna be all right?
Just a fever, you know, he's strong. And when the fever goes, he's gonna be good again.
And the slow days. That's
She
all right.
nurses him back to health. I think they are now officially a couple.
This morning, you
Her biological father owns like a piano shop in LA.
Do my best to your wife. Yeah, thanks, but...
Can I help you?
I'm Daphne.
We find out that father is married, has kids, family. He's never met her before, but he knows who she is.
Well, Bill, I want to express my appreciation for everything you've done for Daphne. Honey, I think you better run along. I'll see you tomorrow.
I didn't come to cause any trouble.
No trouble.
But he calls the real parents in New York.
Oh!
I think that's her real mom and stepdad.
You Billy Warren?
My name's Sims. I'm Daphne's father.
We want to take Daphne back to New York with us.
Well, what does Colin have to say about that?
College? He doesn't want her.
Fargo confronts
You see,
Mr. Collins.
I've never been able to get a start anywhere. We were hoping that you might be able to.
Bill, I'm sorry. I can't. I just can't. No, I think you better leave. I have tried to make you understand. No! No!
That real daddy of yours doesn't want you. He never wrote any letters. Your mother wrote them herself. She made up a whole story for you.
What about the pictures?
There are no buts. They stayed together a few days. They only knew each other for a little while.
Well, she's going home with her parents. Fargo's to drown his sorrows in some alcohol.
Sometimes to love someone is more difficult. If you came to New York, I'll do everything I can to help you.
Thanks.
But come bar time, he leaves. And guess who?
What happened to the folks?
They went back.
And they're going to agree to somehow become a couple. And that's our movie.
How are we gonna make it?
I don't know.
All right, let's talk about Wild Seed. What is this movie? Well, 1965, this came out, stars Michael Parks. I believe this was his film debut, and a actress named Celia Kay. She actually has done some other things, and Michael Parks has obviously done a lot of things. Celia Kay was in the movie Rattlers, I believe. She was the girl killed in the bathtub. But anyway, Wild Seed is a movie that I actually picked up from Video Search of Miami. They used to sell bootleg VHS tapes in the 90s and 2000s, early 2000s. I'm not sure whatever happened to them, but they disappeared. They were around for a long time, and they were pretty big, actually. And they had this movie. I don't know what attracted me to it, but somehow I grabbed it, and now it's in my collection. So this is not available on DVD. This is a burned DVD-R. So anyway, the movie itself is this girl, Daphne. She decides that she wants to run away from home to find her biological father, who lives in California. She lives in New York City with some adoptive parents. And she ends up meeting this drifter. Well, first of all, she almost gets raped in a car by this guy, and the guy takes off with her suitcase. So she's already have a setback there. Then she meets up with Fargo, played by Michael Parks. He's a drifter, and he kind of takes her under her wing a little bit, although he's a little hesitant at first. But nonetheless, he helps her out, tells her how to basically survive with little or nothing. They end up hopping trains and everything. At one point, Fargo gets sick, and she nurses him back to health. They find some free doctor or something, like free clinic, got some pills for him. They basically hustle their way across the U.S. Eventually, they do get to L.A., where she goes into her father's shop. I think he owns like a piano shop. And they go in there, and he's kind of startled to see her at first. They're hoping that by this time they've kind of become a couple. They're hoping that maybe he can get him a job. She's been receiving letters from him and stuff over the years. And he doesn't seem all that interested, but he says, we'll spend some time together tomorrow. Meanwhile, what the father did was call the in-laws and said, you better come get your daughter. So they showed up, and then Mr. Collins, her biological father, had no intent of helping her out in any way. He was cordial, but she wasn't part of his life. He's been remarried at this point, has children, so he wasn't interested. The Sims, that's the adoptive parents, they meet Fargo and they thank him for his help, and we find out that it was her mother actually who'd been writing. I think it was her biological mom, and then her adoptive dad. They were a couple now. I think that's the case. Anyway, I'm not sure. But anyway, it turns out he hadn't written those letters all those years. The mother was writing it. There was no whirlwind romance. They only knew each other for a couple of days, that sort of thing. So Fargo goes into the piano shop and beats up Mr. Collins and then leaves. And then the adoptive father says, look, we thank you for everything you've done. If you ever come back to New York, I'll see if I can help you out in any way I can. So the two of them split. Fargo's probably 25 years old, and Daphne's only 17. He leaves the bar that night, and he sees Daphne out waiting for him. He's like, what happened to them? He's like, I sent them home. They went home. I'm staying. So they decide they're going to be a couple, I guess. And in the last film scene, we see them walking off into the moonlight together. That's it. Wild Seed. Michael Parks doing his best James Dean impression here. But you know what? I kind of like this movie. It had a little bit of charm to it. Not exactly a schlocky type film, but it's kind of a cool little flick. I know this would show up occasionally on the Encore Love channel back in the day, but it doesn't get a lot of play anywhere. And like I said, not available on DVD anywhere either. I don't know exactly why, because again, I think it's a decent film. But anyway, that's it. Wild Seed. I'm curious if anybody has seen this relic besides me. I imagine there's a few of you out there. Not a whole lot of reviews on IMDb either. Maybe 7, 8, 9, I don't know, something like that. So check it out. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. In fact, I thought I read somewhere that somebody has this streaming on YouTube. So maybe you can find the whole film there if you look. Check it out. Leave some comments. Watch it. Bye. Wild Seed.